Okay, so I was AFK grinding in RuneScape while playing Guild Wars, and I saw the Lazy Peon made a video about one of the games that I am maybe the most excited for this year. So let's watch it.
So far, 2024 hasn't seen too many new MMORPG releases.
Very few.
We had Traversal, we've got Throne of Liberty coming later.
Haven't played Traversal at all.
A few MMO expansions, as well as the usual
basically everyone
in development MMOs making slow and steady progress with testing phases here and there.
People do not think it's coming out.
New MMO, however, that kind of came out of nowhere this year.
Yes.
A game that's been in development for years that no one knew about until it was revealed.
Our saving grace.
And the best part, this new MMO will be releasing in 2024 and is being made by the guy that brought us one of the most
man, the myth, the legend
MMORPGs ever created.
100%.
I'm of course talking about
Brighter Shores,
a unique new MMO developed by RuneScape creator Andrew Gower that's set for
time to look at this footage that we've seen over and over again and have seen nothing else from this game for. Supposedly it's pushed back to November now. We'll see if it actually comes out then. He seems very unsure. He seems so unworried about it. It's interesting to not get a hard release date or anything. Like, we never had a hard release date before. He was just like, before the end of Q3, you know, or whatever. It's like, okay.
Late Q3 or Q4 2024. But first, today's sponsor, Dragon Raja, an open-world cyberpunk RPG with over 30 million players, featuring a unique storyline, in-depth
the phone game that looks like Kingdom Hearts or Final Fantasy,
player housing, and a ton of PvP and PvE game modes to enjoy.
Where all the girls have short skirts.
Even more epic with the arrival of a brand new class, the Dragon Rider.
Ooh, I didn't know there was classes.
The skies on a majestic dragon wielding a powerful spear and unleashing devastating skills like Dragon Thrust.
So it's the Dragoon from Final Fantasy.
And spear dance.
Got it.
That's the power of the Dragon Rider.
The Dragoon, you mean?
It's coming on August 22nd, but that's not all. The Dimensional Realm is expanding.
Listen, I'll shill, you know? You give me the opportunity, I'll shill with the best of them, dude. I'll shill with the best of them. I'll stream it, dude. I'll play Dragon Raja.
And exciting rewards. And for those returning to the game, there's a free Milky Berry motor waiting for you. Plus, don't forget to join Dragon Raja's official...
One of my least favorite things that video games do is when they add a bunch of things that ruin the immersion of the game. I don't mind there being store mounts and things that you have to purchase in order, or not in order to, but to augment your playing and to give you a different look to other people. But keep them in theme with the game. And if that Milky Mount is in theme with Dragon Raja, then miss me with it, I guess.
For exclusive in-game packs, cash rewards, and even a chance to win a Nintendo Switch.
Ooh.
And if you're a content creator, submit your work to their program and score a super unique outfit, avatar, and diamonds. So mark your calendars for August 22nd and get ready to experience the next generation of Dragon Raja. Download the game now and unleash your inner Dragon Rider, and I'll see you in this cyberpunk-style open world.
Rad.
So, Brighter Shores, my reaction to seeing the footage of this game for the first time was... Oh, so visually it looks a lot like RuneScape 3, but they've gone with a heavily instanced grid-based world.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I did not like the visuals or style of this game at first. I thought
basically my exact same reaction from the get-go. Just I saw it and I sort of felt like, oh, this feels like kind of a step back. But after learning a lot more about this game, I can see the way that it's kind of going to fit into the MMO spectrum. I think that Brighter Shores is going to become a game that you're going to be able to pick up and put down and have gains that you didn't have when you put it down when you come back to it later. And I think that will be a really good way to circumvent this kind of thing that MMOs have to do, where they have to grab a whole bunch of new players outside of a different game and bring them into this game to play for an extremely long period of time. I've been playing Guild Wars 2 for the past week, and it's a really, really good game. And I've had the question to myself a couple of times of why aren't more people immigrating from other MMOs that they claim that they dislike, when this one has a bunch of the things that they dislike fixed in it. And a lot of that reason is because it's such an investment to play an MMO for a long time that once you've played the one that you have decided is your MMO, once you've played World of Warcraft for 10,000 hours, one does not simply walk out of Azeroth after that. You are committed to that thing. So if Brighter Shores can make some kind of ecosystem where it's a little bit lower input, kind of like RuneScape, but also you can get gains while you're not playing it, then there are reasons to come back. Mabinogi had a really good system back in the day, if anyone played Mabinogi, where you got skill points through aging, and every week you aged, even if you were away from the game, so you could go away away for a long time, come back and have tons of skill points, and then you could grind your skills up and spend your skill points on them. And I think that that was a really good thing that it had going for it. And I think Andrew is sort of putting together something similar.
Thought the world design seemed like a bit of a step back from RuneScape, but then I decided to look deeper into the game, the design philosophy behind it, and it kinda makes sense with what they're going for
Yeah.
here. Brighter Shores isn't designed to be a
No,
RuneScape
not at
game.
all.
It's trying to be its own thing and bring something new to the MMO genre. Obviously, this game will share similarities with RuneScape, such as point-and-click gameplay, British humour, puzzles and skills, but it's
Yeah.
not really trying to be a competitor.
No.
The reason behind the unusual aesthetic of the game is that it's heavily inspired by tabletop games. The small instanced areas, or rooms as they're referred to as, look a lot like the physical grid-based tabletop maps that someone might make for a D&D game. So straight away, if your expectations for Brighter Shores is that it's going to be a RuneScape killer, it's not trying to be. Yes, RuneScape players will probably enjoy it, but it's better to think of this game as trying to be the perfect MMO for people who like old school MUDs, tabletop RPGs, point-and-click adventure, with relaxing social gameplay, storytelling, skilling, and exploration. For me,
It is trying to find a brand new niche and fill that niche. And in doing so, it doesn't have to directly compete with these other games. It can be its own thing and find a new group of people who might be interested in it. A lot of people who come from older style MMOs and have been disenchanted with the way that things have been going recently might be more interested in this and be more likely to come back. I think it's going for an older crowd. I think that it's going for a completely different crowd than RuneScape, than Albion Online, than Final Fantasy XIV, than Guild Wars 2, World of Warcraft, all of them, Warframe. I think it's going for a different niche in totality. Everything that we think about an MMO, we sort of won't be able to bring into this in the same kind of way. I think, at least, even in the combat system, the fact that the classes are all going to be hybrid classes, and then you pick your professions and go in, and I think that there is going to be a living, breathing, feeling kind of world. And if you can make lots of friends in this world, I think that your world is going to be largely populated by those people, and you will kind of know where they are, and you can go and find them there based off of what it is that they like to do. You're sort of building micro communities within these rooms and interconnecting those micro communities by making them sort of understand who is friends and who's doing what. So you might only have a couple of professions, but you know that your other friend has the other profession. So all of a sudden now you need an item that your friend can make. Well, where's your friend at? Well, he's a cook, so obviously he's probably going to be in the kitchens if he's not out getting ingredients for the stuff that he's cooking. So you go and find him there, you request his help, he makes the thing for you, and then maybe he comes and finds you where you're doing things. And I think that's going to be a really interesting experience.
Me personally, I'm going to go into this game with an open mind because I think Andrew Gower is a genius when it comes to MMO design.
Me too.
To this day, I think RuneScape is the best designed MMO there's ever been.
100%.
So if there was ever a dev I'd just trust the process with, it's this guy.
Yeah.
Despite being a major concern of mine when I first saw the trailer of Brighter Shores, I actually think the world could be one of the coolest, most addictive aspects of this game. When you first create your character and spawn into the world on day one, then open your minimap, you will only see the one room you spawn in. To uncover the map, you'll need to travel to each room, which will instantly give the game a sense of mystery, exploration, and intrigue, as well as tie exploration into the game's progression. Additionally, as you travel throughout the world...
How many of you guys have, over the years when you're playing MMOs, you feel like you know the MMO before you actually get started in it? How many people know all of the different... I mean, World of Warcraft is a perfect example. How many people know what Elwyn Forest looks like? How many people know what Westfall looks like? How many people know these areas before they've ever gone to them? And it sort of removes that element of exploration. I think that this game is sort of trying to set up a world where it's very easy for you to get from place to place and to understand it in the way that RuneScape did, where it's sort of difficult to explain what it feels like to be inside of it, but once you've been inside of it, it resonates with you really deeply.
You'll find gatherable resources that you can also right-click discover on that resource to mark it on your map. Obviously, with such small instanced areas, traversing the world would suck if it means there's a loading screen every time.
There's not.
But thankfully, the traversal between these rooms is seamless with no loading screens.
Pre-populating them before you move to the next one.
One of the reasons behind this design decision is that Brighter Shores won't have servers that you select at the start of the game like a traditional MMO, but it also won't have selectable worlds like RuneScape.
I'm worried
Instead,
that that's
the game
actually not going to work
puts
well.
Players into room instances based on the number of players.
When you get up to to hundreds of thousands of players, or even just thousands of players concurrently, I'll be interested to see how that actually goes. I would love to get a pre-test key for this game. If there is any chance in the world, I would absolutely love to be able to play this game and see how it actually works ahead of time. I'm so excited for Brighter Shores. I can't even it has locked into me in a way that I did not think that it would on the first video that I watched about it, and it has become the first game that I'm actually following the development for.
An area. If you have friends in one room, then the game will prioritize putting you in the same room as your friends. How about world size? The overall world size won't be that big at first and is said to be quite compact. It's not intended that you'll be spending lots of time running vast distances across the map.
You shouldn't.
You will be able to teleport to different locations using magic.
This is one of the biggest strengths of RuneScape, in my opinion. You should start out RuneScape in free-to-play. I know that it counts you out from so many of the big grinding methods in the game, but the world of RuneScape has become enormous. It is huge. There are so many different zones and areas that you can go to. There are so many different methods for doing things more efficiently. You can fall down this rabbit hole where before you've even actually experienced anything in RuneScape that you have fun with, you will be doing all these crazy methods in order to get the best rates and to play the most efficiently and to do all of these things. And I think that's the wrong way to experience RuneScape. I think that RuneScape as a game, the reason that it has imprinted on so much of us for so long is because a lot of us were locked into this small area. You had Kandarin and you had, is it Kandarin? Asgarnia. You have Asgarnia and you had the Lumbridge Varrock area. And those things were this sort of world that you just really lived and breathed in. You knew everywhere that you needed to go to do anything. You know that you needed to go to Karama in order to fish for lobsters. And then you had to go back and go all the way to Draenor in order to bank them. You knew that in order to harpoon, you also had to go to Karama. You knew that in order to fly fish, you had to go to the Barbarian Village. You knew that in order to bait, you had to go to Draenor. You knew that the Air Rune altar was outside of Falador. You knew where the hobgoblins were in order to get law runes dropped from them. You knew where the lesser demons were. You knew all of these things in that game because you spent so much time with them before you moved out into anything else. And so much of the culture of RuneScape has become this ideology of just throw them into the deep end and see what happens to them. And I think that is such a bad way to get people into the game in general. And I like that this game is starting out small because it will give you that same experience. It will force you to have that same experience until they add content in. And then hopefully later on, people will also play the free 2 areas that they're going to give you before they buy the membership cost for it. And they will also have that same experience. That's what I'm hoping for.
Skills in Brighter Shores are referred to as professions. More will be added to the game periodically with updates, but so far we know of the following: Fisher, Chef, Woodcutter, Scout, Miner, Merchant, Detective, Leatherworker, Forager, Alchemist, Stonemason, and Blacksmith.
Dude,
Similar to
let me listen to those again.
Game periodically with updates, but so far we know of the following: Fisher, Chef, Woodcutter, Scout, Miner, Merchant,
Scout. I wonder what Scout will be.
Detective, Leatherworker, Forager, Alchemist, Stonemason, and Blacksmith. Similar to RuneScape, Brighter Shores will have skill cape.
I wonder, in a game where there's going to be stonemason, does that mean there's going to be house building as well? Does that mean there's going to be terraforming in this game? I'm interested in some of the things that I feel like I'm wondering if Scout is going to be. He might explain it here. I wonder if scouting is going to be like Hunter in some kind of way. It looks like it actually probably is going to be. But I am really, really excited about what this means for the actual gameplay, that you are going to have all these different professions in the game, because they don't sound like traditional MMO professions to me. They sound like an offshoot of RuneScape professions or RuneScape skills, but almost more granular in some kinds of ways, and that's interesting to me.
However, they work a bit differently. Instead of only getting a cape when you've maxed out a skill, these capes come in 4 parts and expand the more you progress a skill. You'll get part 1 of a cape at Journeyman Proficiency, part 2 at Adept, part 3 at Expert, and the full finished cape at the completed stage of Proficiency.
The Fisher one? The Fisher one is so rad because it's like the deeper you're able to fish, the deeper the cape goes and the further down it goes. Same thing with the woodcutting thing. You start off sawing them down and then you move down to actually building things with the logs, and then it's like you've cut down all the logs and then it's like things are growing up around it. That's so sick. Dude. The fishing one is definitely my favorite one. Scout looks pretty cool as well. But I just think that thematically, the fishing one is perfect, dude. That's so cool. I almost wish that this was some kind of kraken down here and its tentacles kind of came up through it, but this is such a cool cape.
3 at Expert, and the full finished cape at the completed stage
Bro.
of Proficiency. As for how long this will actually take, Andrew said Brighter Shores isn't going to be as grindy as
Much
RuneScape,
quicker.
and they're intentionally designing some skills so they can be fully AFK'd. Active
awesome.
skilling will be way more XP per hour, but each skill should have some fully AFK option built in.
I'm excited to see what the combat is like in this game.
In terms of business model, the game will have no microtransactions and use a free-to-play premium model similar to RuneScape. Basically, as a free-to-play player, you're limited to the first 2 episodes of content and skills, but after that you'll need to buy the game's premium membership option. Subscribing also won't auto-default to auto-reoccurring payments, which is quite nice, so you'll need to make the decision to resub each time. This is probably the most fair business model they could possibly go with, to be honest. So I briefly just mentioned episodes, which basically refer to how content will be released in Brighter Shores. The first 4 episodes have almost finished development and will be completely finished by the time the game launches in
That's
early
good.
access. They will, however, not all...
This was my initial fear with this game, is that because it was coming out episodically, I was worried that it was going to end up being unfinished when it first released, but the fact that they have the first 4 episodes banked already gives them so much time to work on the next stuff while also knowing that they already have releases coming out in due time. I am so stoked on this game. It is ridiculous. I can't explain to you why it's speaking to me so deeply. I can try my best and say that it speaks to this part of me that I have lost so long ago in video games, where it feels like everything is metagame to death, and it just feels like a game that runs so counterproductive to that. Like, if you've ever played a tabletop RPG, there is no correct way to play it. There are only varying levels of knowledge of the mechanics when you're playing the game. So you're not trying to, I mean, some people are min-maxing, but that's not the in-game goal. There are ways to play tabletop RPGs that completely circumvent your imagination of what it can be, and this game to me looks like it could be doing the same thing, and that's so exciting.
Release at once. When the game first launches in early access, we'll get Episode 1, which contains the Hope Port story as well as the Fisher and Chef skill. Episode 2 contains the Woodcutter and Scout skills, Episode 3 contains the Miner skill, and Episode 4 contains the Merchant, Detective and Leatherworker skills, with Forager,
I wonder if you'll be able to
Alchemist,
trade them out.
Stonemason and Blacksmith skills coming in future episodes. Each episode basically brings new areas, new stories, new skills, skilling methods, puzzles and so on. It seems like as a day 1 early access player, you'll kinda be limited as to what you're able to do. But at the same time, it will be cool to see the content as it's released and experience it together with the community.
100%.
Unlike RuneScape, Brighter Shores won't have a classless combat system. So far, the game has 3 classes, which you don't have to select right away, but during the early stages of the game. The Cryo Knight, which is a class that's mostly melee based but deals ice magic damage. The Guardian, which excels
This is the one that speaks to me the most for some reason.
in ranged combat, dealing nature magic damage. And you've got the Hammer Mage, which is a magic melee hybrid class.
Either Cryo Knight or the Ranger one, the
magic damage.
That
and
one.
You've got the Hammer Mage, which is a magic melee hybrid class that deals storm magic damage. Each of the game's 3 classes, despite being more melee, ranged or mage focused, can use each type of weapon, and classes are referred to in this game as factions. I can't find any solid footage of the game's combat yet, but it seems similar to RuneScape, and you also do have the ability to switch weapons in combat as well as perform weapons.
This is a really interesting
And you
scene.
also do have the ability to switch weapons in.
This shows a level of dynamics in the game that I think is not present in RuneScape except for with prayer flicking. And this is very interesting to me.
Combat as well as perform weapon special attacks. It's also worth mentioning that due to there being 3 different classes, each account can also make 3 characters,
I guess I'll be playing all of
one
them.
for each class. I'm actually really surprised that Brighter Shores has a class system, as on paper, wouldn't this make it so you're just going to want to re-level each skill across each class? This would probably be fine though, as people do have multiple characters and accounts with different builds on RuneScape, so I suppose this could be.
And you got to think too that most people who play a game aren't going to just immediately want to do absolutely everything in it. They're going to get their fun out of it, and then they're going to move on and come back at later points in time, and it will just bring them a new point. As the early game changes, they will be able to make a new character, and they'll have another slot open. There will probably be more classes added later on that do different things as the sort of feel of the game fleshes out more, and it'll be exciting.
As just trying to do the same kind of thing. I just hope that each of the game's factions feel fresh enough that it's worth re-leveling the skills again on each one to fully experience the game.
Totally.
Either that or the grind isn't a big deal in this game, so you'd naturally just make one of each class anyway. We'll have to see how it plays out.
It looks really fun.
Here's some other info I gathered from various interviews that I'm just going to deliver to you rapid fire.
Give it to me, baby boy.
During the starting experience, the game will nudge you to try many different skills and training methods. It's not intended that you train a skill to max by spamming the same method for 100 hours. The meta will be shifting with frequent unlocks as you progress to keep things fresh. Brighter Shores will have PvP, and it's been a planned addition to the game from day one. It's not just an afterthought. PvP won't be in the game at early access release, however the addition of PvP will mark the end of being in early access. So expect it a few months after the early access.
So once everyone gets a feel for it, that'll be really cool.
Being unlocked via episodes and story, this suggests that the game will feel much more linear and guided than RuneScape, although this is just my observation. Brighter Shores has taken 10 years to...
Once it actually gets into the game, though, I wonder if you'll be able to choose different episodes to do in different orders, and especially since... I'm not sure if it's true or not that you can only have a few different professions, but I'll be very interested to see as you move through it if you can trade out your professions for the other one, because otherwise why would they add everything episodically instead of having them all from the start for you to be able to do?
But mostly because they built their own game engine. Initially this game was made just to test the engine. Andrew was working on another game, but so many people spammed him to make a new MMO that he changed his mind and made this. The game will have puzzles, traps, mysteries, and things to figure out as a community. The game will also likely have the same similar charm that RuneScape has. Player-to-player trading is restricted to premium accounts, which makes sense to fight gold sellers. Traversing the slopes or inclines, which look like blocks, is done seamlessly and just slow your character down, causing them to do a brief hop. Most professions are designed to be interconnected like RuneScape, but some are more standalone than others. The detective skill looks interesting. You've got 6 slots to collect bounties,
I have no idea.
NPCs against a wall, and look for clues to figure out who did the crime.
Dude, that's gonna be so fun. One of my favorite quests in RuneScape is Murder Mystery, and this sounds like Murder Mystery, the skill, and so that'll be an absolute blast. I love figuring out who killed him. I love it, dude. This is gonna be so rad. Like, even if it's not a game that I play for the rest of my life, even if it's not a game that keeps my interest forever and always and it becomes a daily play for me, just the fact that I get to have a new game that is made by the same person who made RuneScape, a game that I love more than anything else, and he's bringing a lot of these design ideas that he brought into RuneScape, but fleshing them out in a way that he probably feels is better now. Trusting him in that way is so exciting to me. I just think it's going to be a blast.
Clues, you'll need to go through dialogue and also probably investigate various different areas. And the game's being designed to be a relaxing overall experience, not super twitchy, catered to people who like to explore and discover.
Tiff might like this
That's all the
game.
information I could find about Brighter Shores so far. Now for my thoughts and expectations on the game based on this info. I predict this game will have S-tier questing just like RuneScape.
Yeah, me too.
Andrew said the game will release in Q3, so let's assume a delay and say Q4.
I think it's already delayed in November.
The graphics and art style will be super polarizing. Most people will not try the game purely because of how it looks. I think Brighter Shores will be...
There are so many people who have said to me already with this game, I will not be trying it because RuneScape is the game that I love, and I just think that they are potentially pigeonholing themselves to missing out on experience. It's like saying, I'm not going to play Elden Ring because I like RuneScape too much. Like, dude, it's a different game. You don't have to leave RuneScape. You can just play this one as well. And I just think it's so... Like, you are missing out on the possibility of having a ground floor experience like people like I did in RuneScape Classic. You know, you are missing out on knowing what it felt like to be there through all of these games and through all these editions and through seeing all of these things happen in real time and the feelings that you had and associating that with a game. And that's something I just don't want to miss out on with this game, because I think that it could be, in my adult life, one of the most intriguing new developments for the online gaming world that I've seen in a long time. It is so counter to what is popular right now, but I think that Andrew believes, and I have some faith in him with this, although time will tell, that he knows what people want more than they know what they want. And I think that he could be right, just seeing the look of it, the way it seems like it's going to feel, the design philosophy behind it. I think it's going to be really interesting to see it play out.
The RuneScape style skill system combined with the fun of uncovering the entire map sounds satisfying and will likely keep you pumping XP for the next unlock. I expect the game will be zero pay to win based on Andrew saying he doesn't want any microtransactions on Twitter. I expect Brighter Shores to be a highly social game, people talking whilst skilling,
Totally.
the community coming together to theory craft and share skilling methods, all of the stuff that made RuneScape great. I think the combat will probably be seen as one of the game's weak points. I expect whimsical, light-hearted writing with British humour, and I think Brighter Shores could potentially be a breath of fresh air for WoW players and people who have never played a game like RuneScape before.
Dude, that's WoW. That looks so... I cannot wait to play the War Within. I'm so excited about the War Within.
This type of MMO is a completely different design to what people are used to with traditional theme park MMOs. Overall, I don't like the visuals of Brighter Shores, but I think it's going to be one of those MMOs where you're convincing your friends to play it anyway, because it will have a lot of substance as well as likely be quite addictive. At the very least, this MMO will feel like a unique experience, and I'm personally just going to trust the process and go into it with an open mind, considering it's being made by one of the best MMO designers to ever do it. From what
I've already liked this video.
Every RuneScape content creator is also going to be covering this game at launch too, so it'll probably have quite a big launch. Let's just hope the servers are up to it. But that's it for this video.
That's what I was worried about as well.
Your thoughts on Brighter Shores in the comments below. Is this an MMO you'll be trying? What do you like and dislike about it so far? If you enjoy...
I mean, this is just... He hit it so well in the head that this is going to be a unique experience in the MMO genre. I really believe that as well. I've never seen a game that looks like this one and has come out in this kind of way with all this hype behind it. And I think that as I get older, having unique experiences in video gaming is one of the things that keeps me interested in this hobby all these years later. I started video gaming when I was, barely old enough to speak. And here I am 25 plus years later, still interested in new games that are coming out. There are people like Andrew Gower who just have these sort of different ways of looking at things and a different understanding, a level of knowledge about what it is that keeps us coming back to video games that most people who play them for decades will never even start to grasp remotely. They just know that they love it, and he is someone who actually understands it. And so if he's going to put out this game, not only do I trust him, seeing the work that he's been doing makes me trust him even more. So we will be there. Give Lazy Peon's video a like and subscribe to his channel if you haven't already. And that's everything, guys. I can't wait to play it. Please let me test it. Please do it. Andrew, if you see this, Andrew, please. I want to play so bad. I just want to experience your world, dude. It looks so good. Bye, guys.